Hello everyone, welcome back to Broke Boy Custom. My name is Alex and today we are going to talk about 4 things you should not do while getting your car serviced. Getting your car serviced can be a game of cat and mouse. Am I getting ripped off? Do I really need that wheel balance for the 3rd time this week? Who knows? After 7 years of being a mechanic in the industry in various different kinds of shops, I'm here to tell you at least 4 things that you shouldn't be doing. Now, a lot of these tips in this video are just to try to avoid situations where you're going to get oversold. You don't necessarily need a whole background in the automotive industry to not get oversold. Now, the first thing is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and it is pulling your car up to the bay doors. This is something that has been an annoyance to me every time I go to certain kinds of shops. People just pull their car up to the bay doors like they're at a Jiffy Lube. Of course, the exceptions to this are the fast maintenance places like the Jiffy Lubes, Pennzoil places, your Mobile One services stations, the ones where you drive your car into the shop, and also certain dealerships will have a bay door where you drive into and they take care of your car from there. But your normal mom and pop shop or your chain shop will not appreciate you pulling up to the bay door, especially us mechanics, because we make our money on time. The faster we get things done, the more efficient we are, the more money we make. And you parking your car into the bay that I'm about to pull my car into is just only going to slow me down. It's going to make me mad, mess up my workflow, and it's just going to be a bad time for everyone. Another exception to this is if you're getting your tires filled. What you should do is pull up to the main office, ask either the people inside or if you catch one of the mechanics walking around, and they will point you to a bay door that is currently not having work go in and out of. It's different for every shop. I can't tell you which bay door would be the most efficient because every shop has their fast bay where cars go in and out constantly, and they have their slow bay for the longer projects. And the next thing you should avoid while getting your car serviced is going to big chain shops. This is a little nitpicky on my side, but there are a lot of beneath the skin reasons why you should not go to a chain shop. I've worked at a couple chain shops and I have not worked there long because it is not a good environment to work in. The techs there are often underpaid and there's a lot of turnover with those kinds of shops. You don't want to go to the shop where there's a new tech every month. You want to go to the shop where the same 5 guys have been working there for years, because those are the shops where everyone remembers their vehicles. Those guys can be trusted because if the manager can trust them, then you should be able to trust them. Chain shops tend to have a lot of entry-level positions. So a lot of techs that come straight out of tech school will go there. They'll go and buy, $10,000, $20,000 worth of a tool loan and start off their careers there. I'm absolutely not trying to offend anyone that works at these kinds of chain shops. But when it comes to having inexperienced techs, you do see a lot more in these chain shops. And little stupid mistakes can happen, and all it takes is one stupid little mistake for your car to be ruined. Little simple things like forgetting a drain plug gasket, wheels being left loose, not being torqued properly, missing a lift point. These are all kinds of things that can happen with inexperience and rushing. These shops also have a tendency to have a lot of incentives. We're talking about wheel balances, we're talking about alignments, we're talking about fluid flushes, fuel system services, nitro air, which is one of the biggest rip-offs in the automotive industry. These are all things that get pushed not because the techs want it necessarily, but because the upper management has a requirement for X amount of those services done per month for each of these shops. That's a big problem for big companies in general. When they have a lot of overhead, they expect a lot of cash flow. A lot of these shops tend to have lower quality parts sold at a premium price. You see it all the time. They have a real cheap filter and they sell it for like $10, $15, and it's disgusting. For that price, you can really go to the auto parts store and get yourself a really good quality filter. These kinds of shops also have a tendency to have universal blends of fluids. I've worked at a couple shops where they have just one ATF fluid, and if you don't know anything about automatic transmissions, you should at least know that every car has a very specific specification for transmission fluid. They make universal ones and they usually get the job done, but automatic transmissions are very sensitive to the kind of fluid that they are. They have to be a very specific viscosity and they have to very specific additives for them to last long. The third thing you should try to avoid while going to get your car serviced is refer to your car as your baby. A lot of people that watch this channel love their car, but you should absolutely not refer to your car as your baby. If you give off energy to the service advisor that you will do absolutely anything for your car, they're going to sell absolutely everything for your car. At the end of the day, referring to the service advisor that this car is your baby is not gonna have the mechanic treat your car any differently. Most good mechanics are just gonna try to find things that are wrong with your car. There's a fine line between finding actual problems with your car and selling you services that you don't necessarily need. A lot of good mechanics will have their own way of checking cars. A lot of them are very similar. I know that whenever I got a car, I would first get in it, see how it starts. If it starts fine, cool, at least I know that the starter is in decent shape. The battery might be in decent shape. Bring the car in. As I'm bringing the car into the shop, I'm testing. I'm turning the wheel, trying to listen for clicks, trying to listen for rattles. It's a very short distance to the shop most times. I'm just trying to find anything that might be wrong with the car. I'm gonna drive the car into the shop. If there's a little lip at the door, which there usually is, I listen for sounds shocks would make when they're bad, sounds that bushings when they go bad, that kind of stuff. Check the lights, turn the car off, open the hood, check the fluids, check the filters, check the belts. When you pick the car up, check the front end, make sure everything's tight, make sure there's no leaks anywhere. And then at that point, I give my estimate to the advisor. Now at that point, the advisor will look at the car's mileage and be like, 45,000 miles. Okay, it's got a lot of miles on it. I'm gonna check the history. We've never done a fuel system service on it. Let's do a fuel system service. Well, not every car needs a fuel system service done every X amount of miles. Or they'll say, oh, it hasn't got an alignment in this whole year. Let's do another alignment. And the very good advisor will try to gauge how much money you're willing to spend on this car and try to hit that number. When you go in, you say, please just take care of my car, it's my baby, it's whatever it needs. They're gonna increase that number in their head. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Do not pay for the nitro service that a lot of shops try to sell people. So for those of you who don't know, for some reason, a lot of shops out there have figured out how to sell people air. The sales pitch is if you fill your tires up with pure nitrogen, you'll get better gas mileage and your tires will last longer. Here's the thing. If you think about what the mixture of air is in the atmosphere that we breathe in, a huge majority of it is already nitrogen. So you're paying money just to get a little bit more nitrogen in your tires, and it's just a waste of money. I haven't seen a car with the green caps in the tires have their tires last significantly longer than any other car. Any gas mileage that you think you're saving is really just the sunk cost fallacy in your head. I'm just not a believer of it, and I don't believe that someone should be paying $70 to $100 for air. It's ridiculous. Any shop in the world will put air in your tires for free. Only benefit that I've seen is in the winter states, they tend to drop less PSI when it gets cold. When I worked at a shop with a nitro station, I filled my own tires up and it just didn't make much of a difference. The fourth and final tip for things you should not do while getting your car serviced: don't change shops often. Now I know I just went on a whole spiel about not going to chain shops, but this is kind of related. The reason why a lot of people go to chain shops is because they all have the same name. If you're in a different town or you go on a road trip and there's another one there, you can just go there and they have the same service, they have the same records, yada, yada, yada. You just happen to take a really long car trip and you just went over the mileage and you just don't want to have to take the trip back with over mileage on your service. Simple oil change anywhere would do. But you don't want to get a lot of the major services done at different shops. I've seen people go to this shop because they have a cheaper price for alignments, and then go to this shop because they have a cheaper price for tires, and then go to this shop because they have a cheaper price for oil changes. And it's just not a good way to keep a good history with your vehicle, especially if you want to sell it. Most shops, if you go to them and you've been going to them for years and say, hey, I'm selling my car, can you print me out a history of all the services I've done? They can do that, but it'll be a lot harder if you jump from shop to shop to shop to shop. In general, you just want to find a shop that you trust, advisors that you like. They get your car done in a reasonable time, and they don't charge a whole bunch for services, and they don't try to upsell you absolutely every time you're there. If you go to a shop and every time you go there they're trying to sell you a wheel balance, you should not be going to that shop. Once you find that shop that's a good distance from you, you trust, they give good warranties out for their repairs, stick with that one shop. A lot of times advisors will give you good rates based on just being a loyal customer. And a lot of times mechanics remember the cars. They may work on 1 million of them a day, but they do often remember jobs that they've done. Just remember, every time you change shops, you play this cat and mouse game with the advisor. They try to figure out how much money you're willing to spend that day. They don't know your car. They don't know the last time you got these services really done. Yeah, some shops report these to Carfax, but not every shop does, and not every shop checks. A good mechanic can tell if a belt's newer or not, or if a fluid's been flushed or not. That doesn't necessarily mean that the advisor won't try selling it either way. If you guys have learned anything from this video, please leave a like. It helps me out a lot. If you guys have any other questions about getting your car serviced, any questions on tactics mechanics will have or advisors might have, leave it in the comments. I don't know everything, but I will respond with any knowledge that I have. And if I get enough good questions, I'll make another video and I'll drop your comment into the video. Alright, so that'll be the end of this video, guys. Just remember, stay broke, they be creeping. Bye.